このぐらいにしておくか。
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
You got a friend in me.
You're a disgrace. Yeah, they call me Rabbit. This is a total race. You can't get with me spitting this shit. Wickedly lickety shots. The spidget spiggity split lickety.
What's up, everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami, and today I'm taking a look at the premiere Reiwa era Super Sentai series, Mashin Sentai Kiramager. Like Kamen Rider 01, Kiramager had one hell of a production history, all thanks to the little worldwide virus called COVID. But first, let's talk about the decision making behind Kiramager. Back when Kiramager was first announced, there was talk about combining cars with jewelry in order to appease both boys and girls, because obviously girls only care about jewelry. They wanted to do something new to kick off the first show of the new era, and bringing in both demographics would elevate that idea. Furthermore, Bandai had just recently reclassified Sentai to a lower tiered line while replacing Sentai's original rank with Ultraman. This meant Bandai's expectations to the franchise dwindled and that they weren't willing to spend as much money on new products as they had in the past. Thus, Toei needed something gripping towards newcomers while also being familiar to those who were already fans. The most logical step was to hire Naruhisa Arakawa to write the show, given his success with Abaranger, Dekaranger, and Gokaiger. What Toei didn't plan on was COVID coming into production like a wrecking ball, causing the show to go on hiatus for a month as production had to be halted. It's quite impressive we actually got the show we did. However, does Kiramager shine amongst its Sentai brothers, or is it all pizzazz with no substance? Watch to find out. The Heroes. Kiramager is the story of heroes who have to defend the planet from darkness. Yeah, that sounds like your typical Sentai plot, and it really is. An alien planet that is inhabited by living gemstones named Crystalia is ravaged by an evil empire of darkness called Jotunheim. King Oridon is betrayed by his brother, who sold them out to Jotunheim, and now they have set their sights on Earth. Thankfully, Oridon's daughter, Mabushina, comes to Earth to warn a friend of his of the impending threat.
我が財団が作ったキラメイチェンジャー。これで君が連れてきた医師たちの力を戦士に授けることができる。
Together with his company, the Caring and Radical Ambitious Team, or CARROT for short, they create a band of heroes using the surviving inhabitants of Crystalia to assist the Kiramagers. While the premiere episode kicks off with 4 of the 5 Kiramagers already being assembled, there was an episode 0 special that showcased how the other 4 were approached by Mabushina. The first to join was the athletic Sena Hayami. Sena, played by Yume Shinjo, loves speed, which is what led her to choosing a career as a runner. In high school, she often played a Japanese card game that required speed and wit to win. She is very energetic with a bubbly personality. Sena also tends to always make backup plans in case her main objective is unsuccessful.
私これ今めちゃくちゃ話題なんですよね。この1週間ずっと楽しみにしてたの。申し訳ありません。こちらたった今品切れに。じゃあこっちでかしこまりました。
Geki Ranger fans may recognize Sena's sponsor as it is Scratch, the company who finances the Geki Rangers. This means that Kiramager and Geki Ranger are in the same universe, which begs the question as to why Toei never gave us a crossover film between the two teams. Especially when we get to meet Mickey and her daughter, and John's language is discussed in one episode.
モラモラだね。
何ですかモラモラって。
頑張ってるのはわかるけど、今一つ暗がりから抜け出せないっていうジャンゴよ。
ジャンゴ？
セナだってうちがスポンサーでニキニキでしょ。またニキニキって何？ちゃんとわかるように言ってくださいよ。
As Kiramai Green, Sena often uses her speed against her adversaries, though she was reluctant to be a member initially as she felt it would disrupt her ability to practice.
セナさんにも大切なことは貫き通してほしいんです。
いやでも
キラメイジャーは5人が1つにならないとダメなんでしょ。
一人一人が輝くために支え合うから5人必要なんです。
Next came Shigeru Oshikiri.
切っ先アンストッパブルキラメイ
Shigeru is an actor who goes all in any role he plays. He will constantly practice crying scenes to get them right, sometimes even fooling his own teammates into thinking he is actually upset about something.
俺が作ってやったんだ。こんなに頑張ったのに。悔しい。
He's so dedicated to his job that in one episode when a monster put a vice on his head, he kept filming the movie no matter how painful it was.
黙って耐える。このためがその後の見せ場を引き立てる。でもこのパターンが一番かっこいいと思っている。よーい。
Given that he has starred in many samurai films, Shigeru is an expert swordsman, tending to make that his definitive fighting style as a Kiramager. Actor Otomo Mizuishi is no stranger to Toku, as he was Crow in Garo Makai no Hana and another Fies in Kamen Rider Geo.
いただきます。
母さんのつまみ食いね。
Tametomo Imizu
一撃シューティングキラメイイエロ
was the third member to be approached by Mabushina. Tametomo is a professional esports player, so a lot of his skills as a ranger are based on strategy. He will often assess a scenario before engaging in it, trying to figure out all possible outcomes in order to succeed. He's also a top-notch sharpshooter, knowing the right angles to shoot off his Kiramai shot that will bounce his bullets around to hit his target. The only problem with Tametomo is he will often let his arrogance get the better of him in both his day-to-day life and his life as a Kiramager. He does try to keep himself in check after losing his grandpa the night he said this to him when he bought him the wrong video game.
ごめんよ。これから町内会の集まりがあるから行けないんだ。
Interestingly, Rui Kihara is a huge fan of both Kamen Rider Kuga and Ultraman Dyna, citing that Shin Asuka was his inspiration for Tametomo.
さっきはすまなかった。手を抜いたつもりはなかったが、本気じゃなかったかもしれない。
If you've watched Kamen Rider Ghost, you should already know Miyokuda as she portrayed Spectre's sister Kanan.
すごいテクニックだ。我々は奇跡を目にしている。
で、その博多みなみさんの親戚の方は助かったの？もちろん。
Here, she plays Dr. Sayo Aharu.
手さばきインクレディブル。キラメイピンク。
Sayo acts as the motherly figure towards her team, trying to be the most responsible one of the lot. This does not mean she cannot be blunt about her feelings, as she will often call someone out for making a poor choice. Funny enough, Sayo hates dentists despite being a doctor. She often puts the mission over her own personal happiness. Her rescuing a dog when she was 5 years old is what drove her to be a doctor, as she hates the concept of life and death and wants everyone to live forever.
絶対絶命？そんなのやだ！
早く危ない！ 戻りなさい。
私は必ずサヨが助ける。
Lastly, Sayo is part of a band of doctors that perform to help their patients.
よっしゃー！いい感じ。あとは歌だけね。歌詞はもうすぐできるから、明日には完成ね。
きっとこれ聞いたら勇気出してくれるよ。
The youngest and final member to join the core team is Ryo Komiya's high school student Juru Atsuta.
きらめきスパークリング。きらめ
Juru spends more of his free time daydreaming and drawing pictures than he does much anything else, especially when he is in school. That is because he has special abilities allow him to turn any thought into a physical design, something he shares with King Oradin. It is his ideas that allow the refugees from Crystalia to turn into vehicles and robots.
太陽は医者だから。ピンクの石はドクターヘリ。
Juru will always help others when he sees them in need, but he can also be very stubborn. There is one moment where he takes control of one of the villain's mecha.
どういうことだ。
さらにこうだ。
僕ら。
発射オーライ。
And when the villain says it will never happen again,
二度と俺のスモッグジョーキーは奪わせん。
Juru retorts with this.
いや、ピンチになったら
また返してもらうよ。
One of Juru's classmates named Mizuki Kakihara is a nasty girl that asks Juru to draw her, and when he does, it is not to her liking.
何これ。
なんかめちゃくちゃイメージが湧いてきちゃって、この部分は柿原さんの凶暴性。
For some reason, this sparked an obsession with Juru, and we get to see the two bond together over the course of the series. Literally.
ひらめきスパークリング。ひらめきレッド。
I will say I was a little wary of Juru at the start of the show as he would shout in sparkleration every time he came up with a new idea.
ひらめきング。
I was worried this catchphrase would become the next Yosha Lucky, only for that not to happen, fortunately. Despite his age, Juru does not go over the top in immaturity as others have done in the past. The Kiramagers transform using a wrist device that was created by Carrot's founder, Miruyu Hakata Minami.
ひらめきセンチ。
He was also the one who made their suits, weapons, and comes up with many of the new gadgets they need to defeat enemies. He acts as their mentor figure, always updating them on information they need to know about Crystallia when Mabashina cannot.
重力の場合はね、イメージしたりこう絵を描いたりする時間がね、その時に彼のキラメンタルが蓄積していくんだ。今回はその時間が取れなくてガス欠を起こしたみたいな感じ。
There was a funny moment when the team was thinking what Miruyu would be like as a ranger, which saw him as Kiramei Gold.
遅咲きクリエイティブキラメイゴールド。
Comedian Daima Okosaka got high notoriety in the mid-2010s for a song he did in Japan called Pen, Pineapple, Apple Pen.
Pineapple pen, apple pen, pineapple pen. Pen, pineapple, apple pen.
I should also mention that Mabashina is voiced by anime and video game expert Inori Manase. Manase has voiced Redman Ray Zero, Farina in Genshin Impact, Hestia in Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Ando in Danganronpa 3, and Ami in Lupin the Third Part 5.
ジュールさんがひらめきを現実にした時、それはきらめきに変わる良いリーダーです。
The Kiramager suits are very striking thanks to the illuminating shine they grant due to them being made out of a sparkly material. They are heavy on a singular color with some silver straps on their boots, gloves, biceps, and shoulder armor. There is a black stripe across their chest that has a single white stripe down the middle for pink and blue since they utilize air vehicles, while red, green, and yellow have a broken white line given they are assisted by land vehicles. The helmets are equally remarkable with a jewel in the center above the visor and white lines to break up the monotony of the singular color. They do gain an upgrade form during the second half, which puts armor over their chests. It is nice to see every ranger get an upgrade form again. These forms are limited to 100 seconds due to how powerful they are, despite the show sometimes ignoring the time limit, depending if the plot needs them to have them on longer. They also acquire a bow and arrow weapon to complement the armor.
スパークリングペニー。
Takamichi Crystallia.
貫きシャイニングキラメイシルバー
Comes in pretty early on compared to other 6 rangers. It turns out Takamichi is the older brother to Miruyu, due to an incident that happened 30 years prior where Takamichi was poisoned by a monster Oridon was hunting on Earth. He was taken to Crystallia for treatment and ended up becoming one of their own.
そのまま俺はクリスタリアに残り王子としてまた戦士キラメイシルバーとしてワンダーに活躍してきたってわけだ。
This slowed down his aging massively and he was adopted by the king, becoming Mabashina's brother. Takamichi had been tricked to leave the planet by his uncle before Yodoheim's attack, so he was unable to partake in Crystallia's defense, which he does feel very guilty about. Nevertheless, his biggest quest is gathering the Infinity Gems. Why are you looking at me like that? They're gems that grant the user anything they desire when they're all gathered together. And they have their own abilities. Stop it. Okay, fine. These are called the Granter Stones, but they're pretty much the Infinity Gems even though there's only 4 of them.
ワンダービンゴいきなり3つ目の叶えますと出たぞー
The stones represent strength, illusion, time, and destruction.
全宇宙に4つしか存在しないと言われる究極の秘宝剤よ。
Takamichi is trying to find the stones to cure his sister of an ailment she is unaware of that was cast on her by a witch when she was younger.
私の命と引き換えに一生苦しむ呪いがかかるからね。
貴様の呪いなど私は怖くない。
この呪いが発動するのはあんた自身にじゃない。あんたが一番愛する女にだ。
Collecting all 4 Grancher stones will allow him to summon a magical dragon to oh, I'm sorry. I was getting my information mixed up from reading this. Yeah, there is no magical dragon. Collecting the 4 Grancher stones will allow him to save Mabushina's life. A cool thing about Takamichi's actor, Kohei Shoji, is that he is also fluent in both English and Chinese. His main weapon of attack is a jackhammer, which was created specifically to dig for the Grancher stones. Orion is voiced by Joseph Joestar's Tomokazu Sugita. He was also Kivat and Ultraman Ginga.
肉体が極限まで疲労した時、人の精神は研ぎ澄まされる。結果がオールライト。
The villains! Yodaheim's goal is to collect despair from everyone on the planet so they can unleash their emperor upon it. Emperor Yodonna is your typical Sentai boss who really isn't seen until the last quarter of the show.
この星の海はよどみに満ち、大地は腐りきってヨドンヘイムの植民地となるのだ。
He is evil enough to be a true threat, but he isn't given enough screen time to have much character development beyond him being the evil emperor who is evil and does evil things. Granted, there is nothing wrong with that, but given how awesome Kazuhiro Yamaji's voice is for Yodon, I wish we got to hear more of it. Kamen Rider Blade fans will know Yamaji as Chief Karusama, while being Detective Date in the Yakuza Like a Dragon series.
すべてのマシンどもが揃っての全面対決宣言。この耳でしかと聞き届けた。地球は
He's also married to Romy Park. What's equally funny about him being from the Yakuza series is one of his closest servants is voiced by Kiru's actor.
さっきのはただの牽制じゃ。石の娘を狙えばキラメージャーは守ろうと集まってくる。
Yodaheim's chief engineer and commander is Crunchula.
今、邪面中旧石器バスラを送り込んだところでございます。ネアンデルタール人邪面が集めた闇エナジーは
Crunchula loves to create soldiers called marksmen out of everyday items that belong to the planet they are invading.
貴様、蛇口って知ってるか？居住ヒルドンに蛇口の仮面をかぶせてみた。地球文明の顔をした侵略者に地球を襲わせる。
This means there will be marksmen for anything and everything from rugby a freezer, an oven, a fishing rod, speakers,
Apple pen, pineapple pen. Pen, pineapple, apple pen.
and music.
ここで行われるのは地獄のライブ。オーディエンスは邪面中にエナジーを捧げ、最後には食われるのだ。
The marksmen are all very reminiscent to the mask monsters in Gold Ranger, where they all share the same body type, albeit with a different color, while their heads are the defining feature for what they represent. Just like with Locomotive Mask in Gold Ranger, Steam Locomotive Mask is one of my top favorite marksmen. The terror the marksman causes gives Crunchula a lot of joy, but he also finds being very creative with them to be his favorite part. It was quite nice to have another male villain character where we actually get to see part of Yasuhiro Takato beneath his gear. Takato has voiced many villains going back to Car Ranger, on top of infamous anime characters like Artemis in Sailor Moon, Gluttony in Fullmetal Alchemist, and Goldo in Dragon Ball Kai. Crunchula is not afraid to go to Earth for fun, such as the case when he started forcing people to play red light, green light with him.
そ この JK アウト。
In addition to the marksman, Crunchyroll will often send out a giant monster creature known as a Marks Beast. These are a series of creatures that have a head to signify what they represent, while they all share one of 6 body types. This allows a marksman and a marks beast to double team the Kiramagers in the hopes that the typical divide and conquer trope will be a success.
Never mind.
Oriden's treacherous brother is Garza, voiced by BJ Stag's Yuichi Nakamura.
見ていろキラメイジャー。これまでのような生ぬるい作戦は終わりだ。俺のこの手でお前らを地獄の底に落としてやる。
Who also voices Jungi Han in the Yakuza series. Garza craves power and wants to be the ruler of the universe. He becomes a strict rival to Juru because Juru has the same abilities his brother did, which can be the ultimate downfall for his conquest. Garza is pretty vicious, even tricking his niece into thinking he was faking his betrayal just to get at her. He will also manipulate marksmen if it will benefit him.
悪いのはオーブン邪面だ。兄というものは腹立たしいものだ。ほんのわずか先に生まれたというだけで。 The
biggest failure with Garza comes at the tail end of the show when they decide to pull a familiar trope with him that I am sick and tired of. The final general is Yodon's secretary, the human-esque woman named Yodonna.
Yodon change. 僕はヨドンナ、ヨドン皇帝直属の秘書官だよ。
Yodonna has no understanding of what emotions are and tries to mimic them.
何がおかしい？
別に君が教えてくれた笑うとこかと思って。
ヨドンナ様？ところにおいでで。
試しにマネキンとやらの気持ちになってみたが
Nasuhiko Momotsuki is actually a nurse first and actress second, which does explain why she isn't always great with every piece of material she is given.
僕はヨドンナ、ヨドン皇帝直属の
It works with her character, however, so I'll let it slide most of the time. Yodonna wields a whip that allows her to multiply anyone it touches, be it the grunts called Muddites to even Senna.
さあいいな、どこにいるの？ボラディンは。 Yodonna is the show's tsundere, which really turns Tamatoma on. Ah, so he's into those types. Gotcha. It was strange to not have a female villain for half of the show, but then again, since the previous disaster of a Sentai series didn't have any female villains, I guess I should just be thankful we got one at all. As for the aforementioned Muddites, they are what you expect out of your typical grunts in a Sentai show. I do like how they are kind of uniform in design to a marksman. Move past that, and there's nothing special. The Mecha! The mechs of Kiramager are simply called machines, as they are living gems that take the form of vehicles. Given that they are alive, they are all voiced by pretty notable actors that include Gundam's seating Kamen Rider Denno's Kenichi Suzumura as Fire.
お前らを俺たちの都合に付き合わせてるってのは確かだ。クリスタリアはクリスタリア、地球は地球。お前もどうせこの戦いが終わったら俺らの関係は終わるって思ってんだろ。
Zyuohger's Mitsuo Iwata portrays Shovel.
早速ひらめキングでマシンにしておくれ。
Kenji Akabane voices Mach, who was Shotaro in the Futo PI anime.
どうも私たちにはこちら方面の才能はないようですね。
Toilet-bound Hanako-kun's Genki Okawa is Jetter.
弱音を吐けないのは兄貴の弱さなのかもしれない。
けどそんな兄貴が僕は好きなんだ。だから兄貴にカッコつけさせてくれよ。
And Yuki Nagaku plays Helico, who seems to have a Sailor Moon fixation, which is fitting since she was Mehmet in Crystal. Together, they can all merge together to form Kiramager. Alternatively, the air, duo, and land trio can combine separately to form their own robots. There are several younger gemstones that take on the forms of auxiliary mecha, such as one that becomes a trident, a hammer, and a vacuum. Suck! Takamichi turns into his own gemstone to power his driller turned robot called Gigant Driller. Gigant Driller is also compatible with Shovel and the auxiliary machines. Garza has his own evil mech in the form of a black train that can also transform into a dinosaur. To counteract this, the Kiramager stay on track by acquiring their own trains. The first is called Mashin Express. The second that shows up towards the halfway point is named the Shark, both of which combine. Like with Juru being able to steal control of Smog Steamer, Garza is able to return the favor. The last two mechs include King Oridon in the form of a phoenix, and a servant of his is a plane, Embark. Grateful Phoenix is the name of their fused form. I can't say the machines were anything special, but I didn't mind them either. The designs are pretty simplistic, which did allow them to have some good movements in the midst of battle. The effects and music. Kiramager has some of the best action scenes in a Sentai show ever. The camera work is just utterly amazing. We've got one episode with a fight scene that is shot like it is one continuous take, a la Alfred Hitchcock's Rope. I thought that was going to be the peak moment of the show, only for this amazing masterpiece of a battle to occur. I do wish YouTube would allow me to show you the entire fight sequences to both of these scenes, but alas, they don't, so you're kind of on your own there. There were plenty of other spectacular moments found here, but these two really took the cake for me. Ever since Q-Ranger, you could tell they've been wanting to try new things with the action scenes, and at last, we finally have the payoff for that practice. lighting is fantastic in the Yodonna scenes, especially for this tidbit that is engulfed in a red background.
このよどみの濃度になれば、ヨドン皇帝も地球に行くことができるそうだ。
ご苦労であった、ガルザ。
Kiramager's soundtrack is composed by a newcomer by the name of Junichi Matsumoto. Matsumoto's only other true notable piece of work is the anime series Ancient Magus Bride. His music is not the strongest works compared to the veterans, but his tunes tend to fit with the action happening on screen. As such, I am looking forward to this guy returning for future installments.
でも見られるもんなら見たいな。その大逆転勝利ってやつ。どうせ無理だろうけど。
俺。
地球の平和のためにワンダー極まりない力と技を見せつける男。その名もメシャ。
The catchy opening theme is sung by Project R's Yohei Onishi. Onishi also sang the opening for Ninninger and the ending for Juoger. Meanwhile, Kiramager has multiple ending themes. The first ending, the main one, titled Kirifu Miracle Kiramager, is performed by Takashi Deguchi. It's a pretty fun ending and those who desire to dance to it can do so. To celebrate a music festival, as it were, we are treated to 8 episodes worth of ending themes sung by each of the main cast members. They all vary in quality, with some being surprisingly good to not so great. Thankfully, none of them are grating on the ears, though I can't say I would tell some of the actors to start a music career. The episodes. Kiramager is a really fun show, though not without its low points. Once you get past all the glitz and glamour, especially from the amazingly shot action scenes and the first villains in quite some time that didn't suck, the show is pretty by the book. There's nothing downright horrifying to be found, and it is pretty entertaining overall. Nevertheless, there are many episodes that are just flat out boring, especially on their second viewing. That I really feel the show's atmosphere was helped due to how depressing life was during COVID. This show was a glimmer of hope for the world. In fact, Emperor Yodonna trying to ravage the world in darkness was an interesting allegory for COVID, even though that may have just been all coincidence. I mean, we've got a villain who uses masks to hide himself. Accidental or not, the villains behind Kiramager definitely fit with the times. One of the biggest positives of Kiramager is how each character, good or bad, got a moment to shine. None of the heroes stole screen time away from one another. Tametomo ended up being my favorite Kiramager, but that was a tough battle as all of them had strong points. Senna was a close second. It was also nice to see actual character development from the villainous trio, something Super Sentai had been lacking post Tokuger. There wasn't a single episode I outright hated, but I will say my least favorite is 41's As You Once Were. I just do not like what they do to Crunchula in this one, as it seems to destroy his character.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
He started the series out super serious and eased down as he learned more about Earth culture, but he was still a villain. Suddenly, he's this goofball character who wants to do more good than evil. As if that isn't bad enough, the Rangers get their personalities turned into cats.
Mashin Sentai!
At least they don't become the abomination that will happen in the next series. Good Lord Almighty, why did you have to show that to me now? I have to watch that series next, so that means I have to experience that thing again. There were a lot of really solid episodes, such as one that followed a creepy gothic Lolita who was so in love with Shigeru she joined up at Yodaheim to gain his attention.
早い話がストーカーなのね。それほどでも。
One episode sees the disaster that occurs from getting Mabushina drunk.
Hi. 一体誰が？お前がやったんだろうが。これを私が？
あ、一部始終見てたからな。なんだあいつ。
Then there was the two-parter with the battle I showed earlier. Still, my favorite episode is the twisting time. Groundhog's Day type plots are always fun, and this one is no different. The Kiramagers have to contend with the marksman who ends up having a reset button for a head. Every time the button is pressed, be it from the marksman or a ranger, the day is reset.
なるほど。そのボタンを破壊すればいいんだな。それはどうかな。
Worse, the marksman grows stronger with each reset. It provides a lot of great laughs, even to the point where Tametomo tires the marksman out until he begs for defeat.
もうやめる。もう侵略は諦めた。
The only negative to it is that it does have an odd plot where an opponent Tametomo is trying to put a curse on him or something, which kind of goes nowhere. There's kind of a resolve, but it happens in the middle of the resets that I'm not sure if Tametomo ever talked to the dude again later or not. The movies and specials. Due to COVID, Kiramager only ended up having 2 theatrical films, excluding episode 0 as that was shown in theaters, and then a series of specials revolving around Yodonna. Chronologically, the first movie is what was meant to be the summer film, taking place between episodes 23 and 24, even though it ended up coming out the following year due to COVID. It features the Kiramagers having to fight with an evil witch who has trapped them in a dream world.
誰だお前。
悪夢のマエストロ、民女。
The best scene of the movie is watching Muruyu resort to this to wake them up.
I have a pen. I have an apple. Apple pen.
わかった。
I have a pen.
F30 地区のアポペン。パイナッポペン。パイナッポアポペン。
Pineapple apple pen.
There's a pretty cool sheep monster that works for Minjo. We get to see the shark used as a cannon. And lastly, it is the only time you will ever see Garza dancing to the ending theme. Overall, the movie wasn't too bad, and Minjo being a badass villain didn't hurt. I wish she had appeared in the show. Even the Vs. Ryu Soldier film had some redeeming qualities to it. Both teams find themselves trapped within a series of films Yodaheim is shooting. Senna is a cop chasing after Towa.
俺のこと。
あんたが大泥棒？
警察官が俺たち犯罪者を捕まえるシーンの撮影だけど俺捕まんないから。
Bamba and Shigeru are paired together for a samurai film. Melton and Tomatemo are stuck against one another at a gambling table.
囚われた人々から闇エナジーを集めてるってことか。なんとかここから出る方法を考えねえと。脱出なら手を貸そう。
Our pink duo are at odds with each other as leaders to opposing gang members. Canelo hits on Yodonna because of course he does.
この前提にお付き合いしてもらえないか。おい、どんな展開にちょっとあんねん。こ
いつは一体何を言ってるんだ。お前らに構ってる暇はない。
Oh, and Kreon decided to come back to Earth because he had a marital dispute with Wiseau, so Yodonna forced him to create directorial Minosaurs.
そのマイナスってやつを出しな、キノコ。
Wait, you mean those monster directors that have personalities are Minosaurs?
その息じゃ。危機迫る演技で仇を切って闇エナジーを吐き出させるのじゃ。ヨドン様も喜ぶ血湧き肉踊る乱闘を見せな。ようやくし
Minosaurs with personalities? One of the things I was most fearful about was the return of the Kishiuryu based on how Ryu's soldier ended, as I figured they were going to fully diminish their sacrifice. Fortunately, that was not the case.
このブルーダイヤがあれば騎士竜たちを呼べるかもしれない。
Oh yeah, we also got this musical number in the movie. To finish off Kiramager, we have 4 half-hour-long video specials revolving around Yodonna. I had no idea what to expect, but if you told me I would be watching 2 episodes revolving around criminals harvesting organs through a maid cafe, I would have laughed in your face and asked you to give me the real plot. The first 2 episodes were quite shocking in both the surprised way and with how good they were. Yodonna ends up sharing her mind with Kakihara, who we come to learn has a brother that is a detective.
市民のお手本となる警察官がけしからんな。
違うよ。いいか、これは捜査の一環でだな。
He's investigating a crime ring when all hell breaks loose. Yodonna and his sister team up to maim and murder those criminals in cold blood. Sometimes to the tune of the Kiramager ending theme. The third episode revolves around Yodonna learning what love is. Yodonna receives a new costume.
今の僕は感情を喜怒哀楽を知っている。
And it is the only of the 4 movies that features Yodonna fighting an actual monster, which was unexpected. You also have to kind of feel sorry for Tametomo.
キスは
チョコを渡すのはお前じゃない。 The
The final special has Yodonna inadvertently teaming up with a group of bank robbers that then have to contend with the Yakuza.
金まで手に入ってあいつら皆殺しにできたよ。最高じゃねえ。
To my surprise, I found them all delightfully brutal and I'm quite shocked Toei was willing to try something totally new for Sentai. Lastly, how can you not enjoy this introductory warning?
このお話はヨドンナスピンオフなのでキラキラではなくギラギラしております。一部過激な描写もございますのでご注意ください。子供たちは大人の人と一緒に見てね。いるのかこれ。
Kiramager may not be the greatest Sentai series ever, but it was a fun one that had a lot of outstanding action sequences. Some of the best action sequences of the entire franchise. As such, I am going to give Mashin Sentai Kiramager a glamorous 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. Yeah, there are a few boring episodes to be had, which does kinda suck. Still, the Reiwa era for Super Sentai is off to a great start, even if it did put style over substance. Check it out! Until next time, bye! Actor Otomo Mizushi. Actor Otomo Mizushi. Actor Otomo Mizushi. Otomo Mizuishi. Actor Otomo Mizuishi. Actor Otomo Mizuishi. Actor Otomo Mizuishi. Why can't I say this dude's name right?